fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines on WNJC.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
Live from the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with John Berardelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, everybody? John Preston, Russell Gallo here. Russ, how you doing tonight, man?
What's going on, Gene B?
Well, listen, we got the GOP debate going on live as we're recording this the day before Veterans Day. I don't know about you, but I got some GOP debate fatigue going on right now, pal.
Actually, I have to give Fox Business some credit. This debate is the best run. I watched the one before this with the undercard. Terrific debate so far, all around.
It's like saying you got the smartest kid with learning disabilities when you talk about the media that way, Russ.
No, these guys have been very fair. Neil Cavuto and Marie Romo. I should have been able to say that Italian name. But
yeah, seriously, Gallo, what the heck, man?
Very good job, both of them.
Well,
Nothing like Megyn Kelly and her sellout ass.
Well, listen, tonight's not a night for politics, Russ. This is probably the one show every year where we put politics aside and we pay tribute to men like Russ Gallo, who serve our nation as a member of the armed forces. Veterans Day, as we said, as we record this, is coming up tomorrow. And we have a great show in tribute to all the sacrifices and contributions to society that veterans give us every single day. The reason why we're able to do this show, Russ, is because somewhere right now there's a veteran standing a post protecting the freedoms of this nation.
Very nice, Gene, very nice. But we're going to talk about politics tonight. Don't get crazy.
Well, okay, so, you know what, let's get it out of the way then, because coming up later in the show, we have Tony Lo Bianco, actor, writer, producer, director, who gives a very moving tribute in reading the poem, Just a Common Soldier. I played it for you earlier, Russ, and I know that you liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's a very good job. Tony Lo Bianco is a great guy. We've been to a few.
We know a famous person, Russ.
He's a very good guy, you know what I mean? And he did a nice job on what you're going to play later.
Absolutely. And there goes my phone again, which I thought would like shut off by now. But you know what? When you're a famous radio show host, this is what happens, unfortunately.
And we would know this how?
I don't know. I'm guessing. Also during the show, we're going to be having an interview that we pre-recorded with John Preston. He's a Marine who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom right around the same time you were in Iraq, Russ, talking about his experiences there, his experiences with PTSD and how he's suffered since coming home, how he's channeled that into his music, and he has written a very poignant tribute to a fallen hero, Sergeant Chris Strong, also a Marine, who was killed in action the day before he was set to return home from his tour. So very moving stuff tonight. You may hear that I'm a little low-key in what I'm talking about, but it's that type of night for me, Russ, because I really look forward to doing this show every year. Everyone else is going to be talking about the debate. We're talking about something important.
We're going to touch on the debate, too. Plus, especially for our faithful fans.
Yes, our longtime fans.
Fans.
After the show breaks, we're going to play a little something for you that is a Veterans Day tradition on our shows. I wouldn't call it a poignant tribute, but it is a tribute nonetheless.
A blast from the past. You guys will all appreciate it.
Yes.
We had a great laugh before.
And dare I say, you're all about to get yak attacked. But right now, I know you want to get into some political stuff, Russ, and let's do that before. You've been watching the debate while I've been setting up the show, typical. And you've been noticing that compared to the moderators at Communist NBC, Fox Business is actually doing a good job.
Very good job. They're bringing up issues, allowing the candidates to talk. I'm going to make a bold prediction here, and it's a shame we're halfway through the debate and I had to turn it off. But I'm going to guess that Donald Trump loses some steam here. This is a debate now where the candidates are actually able to speak intelligently. They have some time. They're not getting interrupted by the moderators. And the gotcha questions are, I haven't seen one yet. So this is where I think a guy like Ted Cruz can shine and will shine. One more prediction, especially for our rhinos in the room. The topic of illegal immigration came up in this second debate here. And Jeb Bush and John Kasich basically lost the Republican primary.
So they threw up their nose horn is what you're saying, right?
Well,
they showed their true colors.
I'm not even going to go as far as to say that. Here's the problem, folks. When you talk about illegal immigration and you're a conservative Republican who votes in a primary election, you want to hear a guy saying we're going to enforce the law, we're going to put up a wall, and we're going to deport illegal immigrants. That's what you want to hear. What the logistics behind it, we can figure that out later, but that's what we want to hear. And Kasich and Bush and a couple of the other ones, they all but admitted that they have no intention of deporting anyone, that they're going to allow everyone to stay, and then they all try to backtrack and say, but we want the wall. But everyone who's here can stay. So who does that help?
It helps no one really.
But who does that help on the stage?
Oh, it helps Trump and Cruz.
And there you go, and Ted Cruz. Notice how they never locked horns, by the way.
Not anything anywhere. They've collaborated even.
They've never even thrown a jab.
Absolutely. So while we're talking about debates and debate tactics and everything, I just got to give a shout out to our friend Thomas, who invited Russ and I last week to the New York City Independent Republican Soundbite event, where we were actually judges on how people would interact with liberal talking points. And the tips that we gave out, we see now on stage from the Ted Cruzes, and I would say to some extent from the Marco Rubios of the world. And one of them is, and I think we saw it with Ted Cruz, especially with the last question he asked, was asked about taxes, about rebutting false premises. He said it about his entitlement plan. He said it about his tax plan. He always rebutted and reframed the question to suit his need before he answered it, so that way he was answering his own question rather than the question asked by the moderator.
Brilliant, if I must say so.
I think it's the way to go. It's absolutely the way to go. And I think that's something that we taught a lot of people who showed up to this great event, and we're looking forward to doing that again. You'll be hearing more about the New York City Independent Republicans, a group behind enemy lines just like us, in the weeks and months to come, I'm sure, as Thomas is a regular contributor in our chat room. And while I said that, we got the chat room going right now, folks. We don't have a lot of time to talk because we got a lot of tape to play, but we will be stealing, possibly borrowing and crediting some of you if you say anything good in there. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But Russ, back to the debate real quick. You got a point you want to make.
Yeah, I want to, real quick, because I don't want to get cut off before we get to talk about this. Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson, very impressive this week. The media has revealed itself to be the left-wing racist that they truly are. Any black that comes out conservative all of a sudden becomes, subject to the witch hunt. They're digging up people from his past when he was a teenager, and even before then. And the things that this man is being accused of are quite astonishing. First of all, he brought up some good points, Ben Carson himself, in response to all this. When did they ever dig into Obama's college transcript?
Well, they tried to, but it was all sealed.
Who did they ever locate from Obama's past or his childhood that can tell us anything about the president?
Well, they tried to find everybody, but nobody would talk to them.
Okay, so basically they're saying Ben Carson is lying about stabbing someone. Now, talk about premises, right? So the media, the leftist media, is brilliant. They put Ben Carson in a box, and he got out of it somehow. He basically was put in a situation where he has to prove that he actually stabbed someone in order for him to have any credibility. This is insanity. Talk about a lose-lose situation. Somehow Dr. Carson comes out totally dry on this one. Didn't get wet at all. I love it. The other one was the West Point story where they claim that he lied about getting offered a scholarship.
Now, Russ, let's get into this for a second. I'm sure if you were in ROTC in high school and you're invited to a dinner with General Westmoreland, and he mentions in passing, hey, you should go to West Point, we'll get you a scholarship. Obviously, that to for a 10th grader, that's being offered a scholarship.
Yes, and Carson, during that time frame, and Mark Levin, hat tip to Mark Levin, on his show, his staff did some research. It took them all of 2 seconds to find out that during that time frame, West Point was advertising full government scholarships for people who would come to West Point. and they were being pushed into minority communities. So there's no doubt that Ben Carson heard that exact verbiage, and that's why he said it. The media is trying to say that there was no such thing as a full scholarship to West Point, full government scholarship. But that's just a lie. That is a lie. And a general, like you said, mentioned in passing, hey, why don't you come to West Point? We'll get you a full scholarship. Hello? Ben Carson, great job this week.
Yeah, great
like
job.
A Rubik's Cube.
I think Trump has peaked, and he's kind of plateauing from what I'm hearing from you.
Well, unless something else happens in the debate, well, we have it on mute. I don't know. But the Republicans kind of played into his hand with the immigration thing again.
Yes, the immigration point,
So
he did get by on that one pretty unscathed. And the rest, I mean, Marco Rubio, did he distinguish himself at all?
Rubio's a good guy, but I actually listen. I'm not a Trump guy. I always have to preface this for some reason. I like Donald Trump, and I could live with Donald Trump as president. I lean more towards Ted Cruz, but I agree with Donald Trump on this one. Marco Rubio, young guy, young senator,
First-term senator?
First-term senator. I get that, but he's young, and his life experience. If you look at his resume, I don't think he's ready to be president myself. So that it is what it is there.
All right, well there you go. What do you say?
Can you picture him giving a State of the Union or talking about leading the country in a war and leaning off stage to take a sip of water?
No.
Like, it's just I don't know.
I feel you. There's a presidential feel, and we're starting to see who's got that and who doesn't. There's an X factor when it comes to being president, and you have to be able to be above the fray, knowledgeable, personable, charismatic, all at the same time.
Like me, basically.
Basically like Russ Gallo. All right. And speaking of Russ Gallo and all that he brings to the table, I want to get into our Veterans Day tribute right now, so we can go back and watch the debate and come back at the end and see if we want to say anything else, Russ. So here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to start out with our interview with Tony Lo Bianco, followed by his moving tribute that was played in Times Square on the Clear Channel board, right on 46th Street in Times Square, his moving tribute of the reading of the poem, Just a Common Soldier. Take a listen to this, folks. We'll be back after this interview, after the poem, and after a brief word with station identification from our sponsors as well. Be right back after this interview with Tony Lo Bianco. Gene Berardelli back behind enemy lines, and on the phone with me right now, I have the pleasure and the honor of speaking with a true Renaissance man when it comes to theater, film, television, and a true patriot, I must add. Tony Lo Bianco, sir, thank you so much for calling in. It's a pleasure to speak with you.
My pleasure, Gene, my pleasure.
So, first of all, let me just congratulate you on the video that I saw earlier today that is going to be premiering in Times Square on Tuesday at 10 a.m. By the time people listen to this, it'll be already debuted and it'll be online, and it already is online. Just beautiful rendition of the poem.
Just a common soldier.
Just a common soldier. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what made you decide to create this wonderful tribute.
Well, coming from Brooklyn, I care very, very much. This poem, Just a Common Soldier, by A. Lawrence Vaincourt, I read it, and I loved it, and it touched my heart. And I've been doing it quite often. And then a friend of mine, Stephen Klaus, said, "Hey, Tony, why don't we film this?" And it is gone. We released it on Memorial Day of this year, and it is now up to 11,100,000 views.
That's amazing.
And it is amazing because we outdid our likes. We have more shares. We have 600,100 shares, and we outdone our likes. So people look at this thing. Not only do they like it, they share it, and now we have 11.1 million views. And we are aiming for 21 to 23 million because that's how many veterans there are. And the idea of this piece, to me, is to get people to understand that we have a volunteer military and that our veterans must be taken care of for their sacrifice